Welcome into the opening line report, MLB edition. It is game week, MLB opening day this Thursday. Teddy Covers, welcome in. Happy Monday morning to you.
Oh, dude, we have real games. You know, I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm excited about the concept. How about yourself?
Good. Game week. You know, I've been waiting for this week for quite a while. Teddy shot over to Huntington Beach for the first time since living in Vegas. It was fun. I feel rested. I had a good weekend betting UFC. Good weekend on the tables, actually. So I'm ready to get after this, Teddy Covers.
Good. And that's the way I'm looking at MLB right now in terms of getting after it. This isn't a situation where you're sitting around for 2 weeks or 3 weeks waiting to see what the numbers are going to do and what trends are going to develop. This is a situation that day one in this shortened season, we want to be ready to fire. We certainly want to be ready to fire day 2, day 3, and beyond. So there's no like, okay, let's sit back and let things develop. There's an urgency here. It's a short season. We've been out of action for a while, and it's important to start off with positive expectation wagers right off the bat. So I'm very excited. I can honestly say I'm more excited about this MLB season than anyone in recent memory. And the fact that it starts first and it starts this week, nothing but a good thing.
I'm with you, Teddy. Very excited for this season. And guys, we're going to be breaking down kind of overview of the season, any MLB season-long bets we're looking at, and a true opening line report, MLB style, going through the Thursday and Friday slate. So you can get some early looks at this slate, this opening day, opening night slate ahead. So Juan, Mike, Andy, Eric, all welcome in. Chime in any bets you're looking at betting. Also, any questions that you guys have either on Twitter or on the WagerTalk YouTube page. Always love hearing it. And guys out there, if you could please smash the like button, it does help us out. Teddy, talking about this MLB season, we do have some rules changes. I know you had your eye on maybe some handicapping angles here that might be able to get us out in front of some of these moves, get some of these bettors maybe a little bit of advantage over the odds makers, because we got change, which a lot of times creates opportunity for cashing bets here. Teddy, throw it over to you. I mean, 60-game season. We got the DH in the NL. A bunch of changes, you know, the extra innings guy on second. There's all kinds of changes here, guys. Teddy, I'll throw it over to you in terms of what you think is the most important for bettors.
So when we look, and for me, I'm the rule changes are far more impactful when it comes to totals than it comes to sides. I'm with you. We look at the opening lines for opening day. There's one game totaled at 9 or higher. Everything else is 8.5, 8, 7.5. All right. And the one game, I mean, there are a couple games with no lines. They've been over line on Colorado, Texas, but with Lynn on the hill, I don't know. I can't imagine that's going to be a 9. Well, let's see what it is.
Okay.
But, you know, the Giants, Dodgers, and no line on that game, that's not going to, for the second day, that's not going to be a 9 or a 9.5. The Mets and the Braves on opening day, we don't know who's going for the Mets. That's not going to be a 9 or 9.5. So the markets right from the get-go are still pricing totals in a comparable level to where they were last year. You talked about the DH, and the DH is impactful enormously. Obviously, you're taking a bottom tier bat, you know, the worst bat in the lineup, and replacing it with an above replacement level bat in every National League lineup. The runner on second base to start extra innings, meaning, you know, those 3 to 3s, and you got under 7.5, and they go into extras. Well, they get, you know, one in the top. Now you got to sweat the bottom. But more even than either of those two rules is the pitcher has to face 3 batters. That's the end of the lefty coming in and getting the lefty out, and then the righty coming in and facing the rest of the lineup. That's the end of a pitcher coming in and being ineffective right away, and the manager being unable to get him out of the game. I truly believe that the 3 batter rule for pitchers will help overs early in the season until the markets catch up. It's good for bettors. And remember, we talk about MLB, what we usually see for opening day, late March, early April, weather a factor everywhere, cold weather a factor everywhere. These totals are priced in the same range they are for an early April game, but it's going to be in the middle of July. Obviously, I'm looking at overs right from the get-go of this MLB season. I'll be looking for games and teams that are going to cash some of these over tickets right away. And from a team, well, we'll go through it. We go through game by game, but I'll talk about some of the teams in particular that I picked out and identified as likely over candidates early in the season. Teams with starting pitching problems, teams with bullpen problems, teams with lineups that can hit. Overs might be cashing in bunches for teams like that early in the season.
I'm with you. I'm looking more towards overs than unders, Teddy. I would say like more spots though. Some of these pitching rotations, I believe, are pretty scary. They can kind of line them up 1, 2, 3, where I could see these guys going deep and having success. And that guy kind of goes without saying. Every year there's kind of rotations like that. But Teddy, the DH coming into the NL, I think is a big game changer for some of these ballparks like Colorado, Philadelphia. Some of these hitters kind of bandboxes, I think, are going to see a big change here. And you bring up the lefty, the lefty situation. Really, it's any new pitcher coming in must face 3 batters or the end of the inning. And I've heard an argument out there that caught my attention because at first I was with you. Now I'm kind of on the fence where a lefty specialist is actually more important because with 2 outs, that manager is going to be putting him in knowing he's either got to face 3 batters or get that lefty out. Let's just throw out there Bryce Harper versus the lefty specialist. It's a very important situation, up till that point in the game, probably the most important batter pitcher matchup. And it makes me also wonder, a caveat to that rule, are there going to be kind of fake injuries, after you face that lefty and just be kind of like, hey, I have elbow spasms and I need to leave the game? What happens in that situation? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, there could be fake injuries. That hasn't ever been a problem in MLB before. I'm not convinced it'd be a problem here. One would think that if a pitcher gets pulled because of whatever, my elbow feels sore,
right,
that he'll have to sit X number of days before he gets back in. It's a rule that could be abused, perhaps. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't anticipate that many teams or most teams will be. Everyone's going to try to game the system in their own way, but the fake injury. I mean, you see it sometimes in football when teams are trying to run the no huddle late in the game,
right? And
it happens and they get away with it. Maybe it happens here and they get away with it, but I can't imagine that it won't be under significant scrutiny.
Okay, fair enough, Teddy. I guess any other rules changes out there that you wanted to throw out? We kind of went over the extra innings, the guys going to start on second, not in the postseason, but the regular season. Do you see that affecting anything, it helping overs just because of that 1-run advantage? Also, you got to bring in the fact, bunting. Does bunting kind of see a resurgence here into MLB? Did you see any kind of caveats that bettors can take advantage of?
Sure. I mean, but let's just say that this year, there's more bunting than there was last year. Mm-hmm. Okay. That going in as a bettor. You say there's going to be more bunting, 10% more bunts than last year, 20% more bunts than last year. What do you do with that information?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's not something that you're like, okay, well, there's going to be more bunting, or I think the team's going to bunt more here. Therefore, I can make these type of bets because I believe there's going to be more bunting this season. I don't see how there's a direct correlation between more bunting and winning bets. And if you find one for me, I'm all ears. But it's not anything that comes if there's more bunting, there'll definitely be more run. There'll definitely be fewer runs, or whatever you want to, however you want to call it, or it's going to give this team an advantage. I just don't see any way to quantify how that's going to be worth something in the betting markets.
Okay. We got Mr. Incredibo asking what's the hot picks here. I got 2 MLB season win totals, was thinking about throwing out there, Minster, in the chat box. First one up, I'll throw in the AL East. I'm looking unders here, Teddy, because each and every year we know that the sports books kind of toss out a little bit more wins than is actually available there for the team. So my first kind of look in season wins is a little bit towards the under. Now, some of that is kind of taken it into account with the price here, but a little bit of a premium on the Boston Red Sox under 30.5. You got to pay -130 at most sports books. You can find it out there at -120 here in Vegas, but Boston under 30.5 wins, which would make them, an over 500 team. And guys out there, and Teddy, interested to hear your thoughts. They lose Mookie Betts and David Price. Chris Sale injured likely for the whole season. Their starting rotation, very questionable. In the AL East, likely the strongest lineups out there for any division, plus the extra percentage-wise, how much you're playing in division is actually more in this 60-game schedule, playing each of your division mates 10 times. I just don't see Boston as a 500 team, so it's very simple math. I like them under 30.5 wins, Teddy.
Sure, I'll say this. If you like the Red Sox under, bet them yesterday.
It's moved a little bit.
Yeah, I'm looking at 29.5 right now, and this was – at some books open as high as 32.5 on Boston. So we've really seen a significant market crash on the Red Sox. That said, it's warranted. Eduardo Rodriguez is dealing with the virus right now. They have, Nathan Eovaldi as their opening day starter and Martin Perez the next day. And then, the back end of the rotation is questionable. Let's put it that way. From a bullpen standpoint, you look at the Red Sox as being a team that's going to be shutting down teams in the later innings. No, I don't see that. They have closer questions. You bet they do. Brandon Workman's going to do the job. So you look at the lineup. Oh, is Boston going to be outscoring teams this year? Well, I guess, J.D. Martinez has a big year and sure. Bogarts and Devers and all that. There's some hope lineup-wise, but you look at this lineup, it's not significantly better than anyone in this division, this side of Baltimore. So I'm with you on the Red Sox as being a team to bet against. The markets are right there with us right now. Boston is a team that is attracting significant bet against money in the weeks leading up to the season.
Okay, and just to follow up on what Teddy was saying about the number, there is 29.5s out there now. Still some 30.5s out there, so make sure to shop around because that's actually a really important one right on the 500 number. With a lot of these sports books, Teddy, staying on the half numbers. They're not putting out, a 30. They're going from 31.5 to 29.5. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, and I don't blame them. Nobody wants to push. Bettors don't want to push. Bookmakers don't want to push. You don't want your money refunded. So the fact that they're adjusting the juice and keeping the wins at with a hook in between ensures that every wager is going to win or lose.
Right.
And I don't have a problem with that. Especially with season long bets, I don't have a problem with that. Now, when you're talking about NFL win totals, you don't have the leeway where you can, say, all right, we're going to make this 8 into a 7.5 or an 8.5 and just adjust the juice accordingly. It's a lot of juice on a 16-game season, and for a 60-game season, you don't have to adjust the juice as much. That makes it practical to do it that way.
Okay, Teddy, I want to throw one more out there before we do the breakdown of each and every game. Heading to the AL West, another AL team here. The Los Angeles Angels under 32.5, and now they're 31.5, pretty much market ride. So I got to go with that number, Teddy. 31.5 minus 120 towards the under. Joe Madden as the manager. I've always looked to fade Joe Madden, and I know a lot of people out there like him. I just think he's benefited from the personnel that he's been able to manage. I actually don't like his moves in game. I know they got Rendon. Ohtani looks to be healthy this season. We'll see. This factors out to 86 wins, and last year they were just 72 and 90. That's a whole lot of an upgrade. 14, 15 games here to cash this ticket. I don't really see that happening, especially with their starting pitching depth. I don't see it there. So I just don't think they improve by what the market's going to improve them by in the season win totals bets, just because of the star power. You got Mike Trout, Ohtani, Rendon, Joe Madden, and I'm kind of looking to fade that, Teddy.
So I have very mixed feelings on the Angels. Let me start with this. All right. The short season benefits a handful of teams, and the Angels are absolutely one of those teams. Because now you don't have Andrew Haney dealing with pitch counts. You don't have Griffin Canning dealing with pitch counts. And all of a sudden, that rotation has real potential. All right. You talk about the star power. And sure, you have, Rendon and Simmons and Upton and Trout and Ohtani in the line. I mean, I'm not even talking about Pujols. But it's a lineup that is capable of putting up runs in bunches. And it's a pitching staff that's capable of being pretty good. And it's a manager who has gotten his teams into the postseason on a very consistent basis in each of his last two stops. regardless of whether we like Madden or we don't like Madden. It's not like he's going on to a team here that doesn't have any talent. The Cubs had a lot of talent, Rays had talent, and this Angels team has talent. From a scheduling standpoint, so there are things I like about LA, legitimately, but from a strength of schedule standpoint, this team is absolutely screwed. When you're playing all those games against the Astros and against the A's and against the Dodgers, almost half their schedule is against those three teams.
Yeah.
That makes it very difficult. LA was a team initially, I was like, I want this team over the total. And the schedule came out. I'm like, maybe not so much. But it also means that being that they're facing that tough schedule, that there may be some nice plus prices on the Angels. That I think there's a chance to make money with LA this year. They're not a team I'm interested from the get-go in fading. Of course, we'll see what happens with Trout. Right. But if Trout ends up sitting or there's some kind of issue with, obviously the markets would adjust accordingly.
Yes. And that's another factor. I mean, what like mid-major Matt's in the chat box right now, leaving for his pregnant wife is a huge factor. 2 weeks gone at least, not to mention now he's got a newborn baby at home, maybe worried about coronavirus. I mean, it would be wild if he actually sat out for a significant amount of time and what that would change in the market here, right, Teddy?
Sure. And again, it could, when you're talking about leaving and coming back, and this isn't the NBA bubble, but it's still a situation where it increases the level of uncertainty. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when I make bets, I like to have, when I'm taking long shots, I don't mind the uncertainty because that helps you. But in a day-to-day basis, betting MLB, when you're talking about, you got to give your handful of minus 300s, but most of the games are priced at minus 200 or less. You're not getting those big paybacks that that give you the reason to take the uncertainty and embrace it. This isn't one of those spots.
All right, Teddy. And guys, remember to like and please subscribe to the channel. Follow Teddy on Twitter at Teddy_covers, myself on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. Feel free to send out any questions, comment below if you're watching on replay. All that works, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Teddy, anything else you wanted to get out there before we start breaking down each and every one of these MLB games?
Yeah, we got every game on the board to get through, man. I mean, I love some overview. And certainly, in a season like this, it's important to talk some overview because you have to have overriding philosophies coming into the campaign, things we're going to be looking for. Like I said, I'm looking for some of these overs. There's some teams in particular I'm looking to bet over. I'm not looking to lay big prices right out of the gate, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a ton to talk about in terms of these individual matchups, and there's plenty of games as well. So let's get into what we have. We have lines, totals, sides for the first 2 days of MLB, Thursday and Friday. We talk about where the markets are moving and why they're moving in that direction, as well as maybe some initial recommendations.
All right, Teddy, well, let's talk about it. Thursday, July 23rd, we got the New York Yankees at the Washington Nationals. Seeing New York Yankees minus 136 road favorites, total of 7.5 here, Teddy. Opening day in our nation's capital.
And boy, the Yankees are getting, and there's been nothing but Yankees money coming in this game so far. Total sitting pretty flat. I haven't seen a whole lot of money, but Cole is someone who the markets are particularly enamored with. You don't often see Scherzer as a home dog in this range. And of course, let's not forget, Chapman on the DL, which has the potential to be a significant early season loss for the Yankees, even though we don't worry about their bullpen. And some of this, the line has to, is bullpen related. The Yankees bullpen, even without Chapman, looks pretty dominant. And the Nats, of course, were a team that started out 19-31 last year before they got very hot. But you don't often see the defending champs playing at home in this range on opening day. From a pure value standpoint, I do think there's some value here on Washington.
Yeah, it will be the Nats are pass for me as well on opening night. And we got the nightcap back-to-back here on the West Coast, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Start here on ESPN. San Francisco Giants plus 249 moneyline underdogs on the road. Chavez Ravine. Los Angeles Dodgers with Kershaw on the hill, minus 280 home favorites here. going up against Johnny Cueto for the Giants, Teddy.
And you know, when you look at these two lineups, all right, you go through San Fran's position players and you go through LA's position players. You're like, holy crap, there's no, there's no comparison. Giants have all kinds of guys who are not likely. We don't know. We don't know if Punter Pence is going to play or Sandoval's going to play or Longoria is going to play right out of the gate. Brandon Belt, all day-to-day guys, Buster Posey. It doesn't matter anymore. But certainly from a lineup standpoint, the Dodgers are scary. Okay. When you talk about teams that are lined, 38.5 wins in a 60-win season, you go, who's kidding who? And then you look at the Dodgers lineup, you look at their rotation, you look at their bullpen. Say who's gonna beat this team? Who can be favored against this team? If the Dodgers go 48-12, I won't be shocked. You know what I mean?
48-12.
That is a sick-looking roster. Okay, sick. The weaknesses, I don't see any. And San Fran, their price is a last-place team. And deservedly so in many regards. And certainly in this division, they're up against it. Am I going to lay $3 on opening night? No. Are the market's doing it? Not really. We're seeing the money come in. And it's light money, but the money's taking San Fran as the big dog price with Cueto on the hill, and I can't say I blame him. I don't think I get to the window there. I feel like this is one of these $3 or plus 250 dogs on opening day. You're like, it's a sucker bet. It's a sucker bet, and then they win. You're like, oh man, I should have played that.
Yeah,
I could only play the San Fran side. I'm not going to play the San Fran side here. I don't think. Worth noting. Dodger Stadium, Kershaw on the hill, total sitting at 8.
Yeah.
Which is
what about this under?
Oh, I don't want the under. I'm not betting unders.
Okay.
Out of the get-go. I'm not. We're talking about summer temperatures.
But it's West Coast that night. Kershaw on the hill.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm not betting the under. I could only play this game over. If I'm involved with the total, don't buy the play. I'm on the over.
All right, fair enough, Teddy.
I'm telling you, I mean, if I play that game, it'll be an over.
Yeah, and guys, this is the opening line report. Stuff can change here before first pitch, and make sure to check out Teddy's all of Teddy's packages. MLB season long. You got NFL up already, right, Teddy?
Yeah, I wanted to put those 3 week 1 NFL games up right away. The markets were going to move. They have moved already. They will continue to move. So yeah, we got an NFL 3-pack up, including a 5%er. Right now at sportsmember.com.
All right. Andy asking, why are the Tigers favored over Cincinnati? We got that question coming up in 2 games here. We got Dodgers lineup is stacked from Connor. Guys, chime in with what you're thinking. Mike saying, what about first 5 under then? Are you a first 5 under looker here in the opening night game, Teddy?
I'm not looking to play unders right from the get-go.
Period.
I'm not going to talk you out of it. It's not something I'm looking to do.
Okay. All right. Self-welcoming.
If I was going to play an under, I'd be more likely to play a first 5 under than a full game under. I think that 3 batter rule is going to have a significant impact on these totals.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the Friday slate. Those are the 2 games to open it up on Thursday night. We got Friday, July 24th numbers out as of right now. We got the first game up, an afternoon affair here in the NL East. Atlanta Braves behind Sorka versus the New York Mets. DeGrom on the hill. -129 favorites here. That's DeGrom and the Mets at home. Over-under sitting at 7 flat, Teddy.
Yeah, I'm still seeing the Mets as undecided here, that DeGrom is a question mark. And this is one of 3 games that is not fully lined right now. So we're going to hold off on that. We're going to not talk about Mets, Braves. I'll talk about it a little bit, certainly in terms of divisional odds and that sort of thing for these 2 teams. The NL East is going to be tough. That's all.
Yeah, it is.
The NL East is going to be really tough. And this, in terms of a division of what I want to do with like future book wise, this is not a division I want to do anything future book wise. Because the Braves, the Nats, the Mets, and the Phillies, I expect them all to be there. When you look at all the Zips projections and all the computer projections, you're seeing there's basically very little differential between these 2 squads. And one or two games may make an enormous difference in this division. Again, we have no broader market on this game in general when it comes to these NL East matchups. I guess my thought process is I want to be taking some plus prices. Braves, Nats, Mets, Phillies, when these teams match up, I'm interested in some dog prices. And of those four, I mean, the Phillies and the Mets are live. Just like the Braves and the Nats, people are like, oh, it's two-team race last year. The Mets, certainly you look at that Mets, and of course, Cespedes helps a lot, with the DH rule. Having him makes an enormous difference. Philadelphia, I think the short season helps the Phillies a lot. So this is going to be a tight division, and I'm really looking to take some plus prices with some of the competitive teams, and then bet against Miami at every reasonable opportunity.
All right, looking to bet against the fish. We got Fitzy saying, what about the Braves first five with Soroka on the hill? I like where you're looking at the plus price there. No fans in the stadium. It's kind of, we've seen it in Korean baseball here, Fitzy, but I'd still like to see it in MLB, how much it factors in. And then DeGrom, at least according to some books, as the slated starter here, minus 130-ish favorite. I would look again, maybe towards the under here, a little bit more of a pitcher's park. But again, like Teddy said, I mean, we're starting in the middle of summer here, guys. So temperatures are going to be up there. That ball might be flying. Teddy, I will say this in terms of you have them at undecided. I'm looking at Bet Online right now just for quick odds. And they do have DeGrom as the slated pitcher. We were talking a little bit off camera about the Superbook here at the Westgate actually going to all tickets being final, meaning if the pitcher gets changed, you're still locked in. It's all action, right? Is that what you're hearing for all the sports books, or is it still kind of up in the air?
That is not universal. It feels like it's moving in that direction. Mm-hmm. And from a betting standpoint, there's reasons not to love it. Especially when your bet is based largely on the starting pitcher, and you're being locked in. But I guess having bets go as action, it makes sense for the books. I'm actually surprised it's lasted as long as it has when it comes to listing pitchers. But I think that ability, it's not like you can't do it. It's just that you have to request it, which again is easy enough to do if that's your choice.
Yeah, if the Superbook is going towards that, and guys out there, I think you could use this towards your betting advantage. For me, it's going to make me look towards the dog. If I got a big price dog, placing my ticket, and then if the favorite you're going against, if they're starting pitcher, which is obviously going to be at least some of the reason why they're laying so much of a price, gets scratched, you're going to get that overnight advantage, and then they're going to open up a little bit more in your favor. So it's going to make me look to place my bet on big dogs earlier and stay away from laying a big price with a top line starter, Teddy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that conceptually, but then we go through opening day. We say, all right, well, let's say Kershaw gets scratched. All right, Walker Buehler goes.
That's true. It's more so in some rotations than others.
Sure. All right. Sonny Gray gets scratched. Guess what? Trevor Bauer goes. So it may not be, the biggest drop off may not necessarily be from the 1 to the 2 or the 2 to the 3. It might be from the 3 to the 4. So just be aware, I guess, is the way to describe that.
Teddy, next game up, we got Detroit and Cincinnati, and answering Andy Wortman's question of why are the Tigers favored over Cincinnati? Well, actually, Andy, doesn't look like they are. We got the Detroit Tigers with Matt Boyd on the hill coming from the left side, plus 164 away underdogs here. Cincinnati Reds at home, Sonny Gray slated to be on the hill, minus 178 favorites, total of 8 flat, Teddy. I'll throw it over to you. Any opinion here?
So there's some confusion, and I think Bookmaker, one of the prominent offshores, when they posted their very first MLB numbers, they transfixed some of the numbers. I think they might have transfixed all of them. So you see the opener for Bookmaker is Detroit minus 200. That 9 never existed. It was just someone punched it in wrong.
And then likely deleted all the bet or sent it.
Of course,
your bet doesn't count.
Yeah. That it was just the openers were punched in wrong. It wasn't a real line, and you will see that often enough. You say, "Wow, that line move is," and then it's like, "No, that line move never really happened." Someone just said, one of the key books that gets tracked with opening numbers they punched in the numbers the wrong way and they got fixed before there was a bet, and that line didn't exist. So, right here, and I'm almost surprised at how short this is. Since he might be, when you talk about hot teams in the offseason marketplace, there's two that stand out: the Reds and the White Sox. The wise guys are very excited about both of those teams. And certainly, I mean, Cincinnati's got the starting pitching that makes people interested. They have a lineup that looks, pretty capable on paper. And again, in this division, the Reds have been bet up to the favorite, over the Cardinals, over the Cubs, over the Brewers. Since he is in the NL, they are the wise guy team right now. That being said, Boyd on the hill for the Tigers, and Boyd made people money last year, and he's the one starter they have that gets them priced in a reasonable range. Tigers going to be $2 dogs a lot this year, and they're up against it schedule-wise as well.
Teddy, we got Toronto Blue Jays at the Tampa Bay Rays up next. Ryu makes his first start, I believe, for the Blue Jays, coming from the left side in Tropicana against Charlie Morton, seeing the Rays minus 160 home favorites, plus 148 on the kickback for the Blue Jays. Total of 7 flat here, Teddy.
So we talked about teams that the markets are excited about. Now we can talk about one of the teams that I think will make money. I expect to make money with Tampa Bay. This is a good team. They're in a small market. They're always an afterthought. I understand that Morton and Snell and Glasnow, you have to pay a price with these guys, but Tampa's going to win home games. Tampa's going to beat teams. I would expect this number to go up. And it's not like it's going through the roof. It really hasn't moved all that much from the get-go. But Tampa, when you talk about, the one – in a shorter season, the Rays' ability to use their bullpen like few other franchises do might hurt them a little bit. Their edge comes from the fact that they get to use this bizarre bullpen in all kinds of weird ways for 162 games. In a 60-game season, it might not matter as much. But all that said, this is a feisty little lineup. It's a deep team, and I think Tampa's a squad that I expect to make some money with.
Teddy, do you think there's anything here? Because I'm with you. I like Tampa Bay, too. Got my eye on them. So does the market, though. Not sure how cheap they're going to be priced. Do you think there's anything towards the type of player that signs with the Tampa Bay Rays, going down there to Tropicana? I still can't believe an MLB team actually really plays there. And then this season, with no fans, so it really not affecting those guys as much as, say, the New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers.
Well, I mean, Tampa never has the salaries. They don't have the rich guys that the Yankees and the Dodgers has.
Right.
Which, there's a little bit of a different attitude.
Mm-hmm.
When you're making less money versus when you're making $20 million a year or whatever. But again, quantifiably, how do we put that in a number for Tampa Bay? There's no way to do it. And right now it's about quantifying. It's about how do we how much is this worth? How do I price that into my number? And this is that's a situation where I just don't know how to price it in. I'm not convinced that it's worth more than a few pennies in the market. So it's worth something maybe, but not a ton.
Okay. Still the 405 Pacific slate here. We got 957, 958 if you're following along at home. The Miami Marlins with Alcantara on the hill, plus 179 road underdogs at the Philadelphia Phillies in this NL East battle, Teddy, with Aaron Nola on the hill, minus 195 favorites, total of 8. Teddy, I'll throw it over to you with the thought process. You already touched on looking to fade the Miami Marlins, but you got an all-star pitcher here with a plus 180 price tag. Any interest?
So there's dumber bets to make than Miami on opening day, on their opening day. You talk about Alcantara as someone who has real bet on potential, and their bullpen might be okay. I don't know how this team's going to score runs. That's a pretty big concern for me. By pretty big concern for me, I mean like an enormous concern for me.
Yeah, me too.
Of the teams that I'm like, all right, I'm looking for overs. I'm looking for overs. This is not a team I'm looking to play overs. Certainly not in their ballpark. This, of course, being in Philadelphia, where your pop fly ends up being a 3-run bomb. The Phillies to me are an interesting team. The betting markets have looked at Philadelphia for the last 2 years and basically yawned. They're looking at them this year and basically yawning again. Nola's certainly a guy who we have no problem putting our money on. And that's a lineup for Philadelphia that, they're one of the they're a veteran team that has a lot of older guys, and you're like, well, this is a short season help or hurt them. I think it might help, because the older guys get nicked up easier.
Yeah.
And short, hey, let's put everything together and see what we can do for 3 months, as opposed to for this marathon 7 months, and then we get to the playoffs deal. I think Philadelphia might be helped by that. I like the Phillies, and I've been looking for spots to bet on Philadelphia fairly early in the season.
Yeah, this is going to be a young Miami Marlins team. And at first I was looking to bet on them, Teddy, and hearing you say, maybe looking to fade them, I kind of lean more in that camp out the get-go, with the scheduling going to be difficult, AL East and the NL East, like we just talked about. Plus the fact all of these guys, I'm pretty sure the youngest in their 60-man in the MLB. I just see a lot of guys getting their first-time action. And towards the end of the season, if you're trying to bet in season win total over, when you're really getting first-time production out of these guys, I don't like that profile. So that's what kept me off of betting them over.
No argument.
Teddy, we got next game up here. We got Kansas City Royals with Danny Duffy on the hill coming from the left side versus the Cleveland Indians. Shane Bieber, minus 217 favorites at home, plus 197 on the kickback for Kansas City. Total of 8. Any interest in this, AL Central matchup?
Well, welcome to the Royals.
Yeah.
The Royals, the Tigers, and the Marlins are all being priced like real bottom feeders. You say, well, how do you make money laying $2 every day? You make money laying $2 every day when the opponent can't win games.
Right.
I think Kansas City's a notch or two better than Detroit or Miami. And of the three, if there's a team that I want to put a little bit of money on, it'd probably be Kansas City. Duffy's certainly shown when he's been in good form, Duffy's shown ace level potential. It's not like this lineup can't hit at all. Amongst the bad teams, I think there may be some value on KC. All that said, what happens in the MLB offseason is the young hot teams get the hype, and the teams that have been around and been in contention and maybe had a little disappointing last year don't. So what are we seeing? We're seeing the hype in the AL Central come for the White Sox and the Twins, and this Indians team that, they're not chopped liver. Cleveland, certainly from a star power standpoint, from a front end of the rotation standpoint, there's reason to think that the Indians are going to be in contention. They're certainly being priced like they're going to be in contention here. Worth noting that, this total sitting at 8.5. This is not an over. I'm looking to play on opening day. For what it's worth.
Okay. Teddy, we got NL Central up next. Milwaukee Brewers with Woodruff on the hill versus the Chicago Cubs with Hendricks on the hill. This one in Wrigley, 8.5 being the total. Competitively priced game here with the Chicago Cubs minus 120 home favorites, Teddy.
So everything I'm reading about the Cubs I like right now. And David Ross, I've heard nothing but good things about David Ross so far. If there's one team in baseball where I'm looking to play overs, I think it might be the Cubs. Their bullpen is dicey at best and bad at worst. Okay, so even if they're getting 6, 7 strong innings out of Hendricks and Darvish and Lester, which, will they? We don't know. But even if they're getting, this is a team primed for bullpen meltdowns. And when you talk about a lineup that can hit, man, where's the weak spot in this lineup? They should be scoring runs in bunches every night. And
they translate well to the DH too.
They sure do. I think Schwarber's going to play DH. Mm-hmm. And the Cubs over will be a piece of my betting portfolio on a pretty consistent basis, I expect, the first few weeks. That's one of my strongest opinions out of the gate. Of course, with this game in Chicago, interesting to know that we have a total for this early. The wind blowing in Wrigley obviously has enormous impact on these totals. But I'm looking at the Cubs probably as my number one over team coming into the season. I'll be looking to bet as many Cubs overs as I possibly can. I can talk myself into. I think they're going to be cashing. I think they're going to be scoring runs. I think they're going to be giving up runs. And again, when it comes to reliable arms in this bullpen, not many.
Teddy, I like what you were saying there. I wrote that one down. Cubs looking to be on the overs, and Wrigley Field, a place I know that fairly well, and I'm surprised to see a number up here as well. I mean, most of the time when you go after the Cubs overs, do you mind giving out a little information on how you get to I guess deciding on the win factor?
Well, I mean, the numbers, the totals, they don't just have overnight totals in Chicago. Maybe this is the change, or maybe it's just opening day.
Okay.
I don't know. I wouldn't, because the totals in Chicago, they will move routinely or be adjusted by as much as a run based on wind conditions. And that's, fairly significant. If the baseline total is 8 and you're like, all right, the wind's blowing in, it's going to be a 7. The wind's blowing out, it's going to be a 9. You might see that in Colorado. You don't see that anywhere else, but Wrigley. So I mean, the markets do adjust off the wind pretty significantly at this one particular ballpark. So again, we'll see what the next day looks like. But I'm a little bit surprised to see this 8 up now. But again, opening day, the books are jonesing for action every bit as much as we are. You understand? Yeah. They need to pay their bills too. So. I can understand why they have a number up on this, even though normally they might not have that.
And Teddy, we got some guys here chiming in as we get back to the AL East in our next game here, Baltimore and Boston. Ryan and Connor bringing up the subject of the Toronto Blue Jays 60 road games. We left that out when we talked about Toronto very quickly. In this weekend, I had a lot going on Saturday and Sunday, but I did see the headline. They're locked out of Toronto. I'm not really up to date on what's going on. Do you want to throw anything out there, Teddy?
Nothing's a done deal yet, and that's one of the reasons when we were talking about that, I was talking about Tampa a little bit more than Toronto. Toronto has a really interesting young roster, but certainly from a season win standpoint, the only way we can look to bet the Blue Jays is under, and that's, again, the market's already on it. The fact that you don't get a home. On the other hand, you can look at it in a different way. In essence, Toronto's going to be playing in a bubble, right? They're not going to be going home after work. They're going to be going back to the hotel with their teammates. And the teams that are playing with the bubble, playing in a bubble, sometimes you get positive team chemistry off of that. Sometimes it ends up being a good thing. So I don't look at it for Toronto as being an auto fade just because they're together. They're not playing at the Rogers Center. It's not. I don't see it that way. I think you can make an argument for either side.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see it as an auto fade either, Teddy. And actually, I'm surprised that they play their spring training, I believe, in Dunedin, Florida. Why wouldn't they just kind of de facto make that their home field? I'm sure that's been.
It's a minor league park.
There's no fans anyway.
When you talk about the facilities that the guys have in their locker room at a major league level versus what they have at a park in minor league park in Florida like that, there's no comparison. You don't have the facilities, you don't have the locker room space and the training space and the rehab space and all of that you have in at a major league level. These guys are used to being catered to, and when you stick them in a second-rate facility, they'll react accordingly.
All right, Teddy, we got that AL East matchup. We mentioned Baltimore Orioles with Means on the hill versus the Boston Red Sox with Evaldi on the hill. -190 favorites here. Boston +175 on the kickback for the Orioles. 9.5 being the total here, Teddy. Interesting matchup opening night in Boston.
Yeah, and this certainly has over potential.
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
It's the only game that's line 9 or higher total wise. It's certainly not the two starting pitchers that we trust. It's certainly not two bullpens that we trust. If you think I'm laying $2 with the Red Sox on opening day or 190 or whatever it is, no. But this also, I mean, the Orioles are going to be +$4 on a regular basis. That's what this line is telling us. The markets, you can't crash anymore on Baltimore. They already have. They're going to be a hard team to bet on or bet against. I can't imagine being involved in a lot of Orioles games from a side standpoint because literally they're the only guys who are taking Baltimore. Hey, there's this much extra value. They should be plus 350, and I'm getting plus 380. Those are the Orioles bettors this year. They'll be few and far between. Almost exclusively syndicates and wise guys.
I've been that better, and I'd say like 5-6 years ago, Teddy. I kind of learned pretty quickly that's a tough one to take loss after day. We got Colorado, Texas Rangers up next. Lynn on the hill for the Rangers at home. John Gray on the hill for Colorado. Competitively priced game here, minus 130 for Texas, plus 120 for Colorado. 9.5 I'm seeing as the total, Teddy.
Yeah, and this is another one of the ones that there were, you're on the Don Best screen, the pitchers aren't listed yet. So the broader market, maybe it's a Don Best issue. Might be. But it's, I'll say this. Texas is, the Rangers should score runs. The Rangers have a good top three in their starting rotation. The Rangers have a bullpen that, in theory, can get outs, and the Rangers have a park that sometimes give opposing teams trouble. I think Texas has a potential to be a value team, and they're not hyped at all in the betting markets compared to some of the White Sox or the Angels or the Rays. Or sorry, not the Angels, the White Sox or the Rays or the Reds or some of these other teams. Texas is a squad I expect to make some money with. I think that might be pretty good.
Teddy, this next game I got circled here, personal bet. Minnesota Twins with Jose Barrios on the hill versus the Chicago White Sox with Giolito on the hill. The White Sox minus 113 home favorites, plus 103 for the AL Central defending champions here, Teddy. To tell you a little bit about the side I'm looking at, 8.5 being the total.
Yeah, I mean, so when Giolito was on last year, he was unhittable. He was as good as anybody. And if you remember his first half of the season, the guy was, he was an absolute monster. And he had some success against the Twins. Last time he faced the Twins, he threw a complete game 3-hit shutout against them.
Good point.
I'm not in any kind of giant rush to bet against Lucas Giolito on opening day. And again, it's certainly a Twins team that has been there and continues to be there, et cetera, et cetera. I'm certainly not selling Minnesota short, but is kind of a one pitcher who stood out to me at a real level a year ago that I'm not in any hurry to fade here.
Yeah, no, good point with the White Sox that, like you talked about. I mean, a lot of they're getting respect in the betting markets, and it shows here with the favorites on opening night. We got Pittsburgh Pirates at the St. Louis Cardinals up next. Musgrove on the hill for the Pirates. Flaherty on the hill for the Cardinals. The Cardinals minus 190 home favorites, plus 175 for the Pirates, and I'm seeing a 7 in the hook as the total, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, the Pirates, for whatever Pittsburgh's starting pitching is, and their starting pitching, there's some hope. Musgrove and Keller and Trevor Williams, Derek Holland. I mean, they're not. But for whatever their starting pitching is going to be, their bullpen is as bad as any in baseball. Okay, we've already seen that. And that makes me very reluctant to play on Pittsburgh. It makes me very reluctant to play any Pittsburgh games under the total. All right, there will be, if there's one team that I'm super confident we're going to have bullpen meltdowns, mess them up, Pirates, top of the list. And look, I mean, it's not like Pittsburgh is going to the season like, oh yeah, we're going to steal this division. There's everyone else in the division better than they are, and they know it. It's all about moving for the future for Pittsburgh, and again, the Cardinals aren't a sexy pick. This is one game on opening day where I'd be more likely to lay the price. All right, can I lay $2 on opening day? This might be the game I could do it in.
Okay, Teddy. We got 3 games left here, and guys, appreciate everybody joining us. Please chime in on YouTube any questions you have, and please smash that like button if you're enjoying the content. We do this show, the Opening Line Report, each and every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We got the Seattle Mariners and the Houston Astros in the American League West here, Teddy. We got Gonzalez coming from the left side for the Mariners versus Verlander, the Astros minus 280 here, touching $3 favorites. Teddy, no, that's tough to lay here, especially after the cheating scandal. Kind of the Houston Astros, an interesting handicap themselves. Seattle Mariners, a lot of kind of unknowns there. A younger ball team, plus 250 away underdog. Teddy,
yeah, Seattle. So we talk about the hopeless teams. We're like, all right, the Tigers are hopeless, the Royals are hopeless, Miami's hopeless. Seattle, from a pure power rating standpoint, is probably a notch or two better than those teams. From a scheduling standpoint, everyone in their division is bet on except for them.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's going to be tough for Seattle. It really will. Am I going to lay $3 with Houston on opening day? I'm not. But, the Astros, what do they play? 10 games against Seattle. And can you say they're going to go 9-1 in those games? Yeah, they could. Wouldn't shock me in the slightest.
Teddy, 2 games left here. The nightcaps, 9-10 Eastern start here, 6-10 Pacific. Arizona Diamondbacks versus San Diego Padres. Chris Paddock on the hill for the Padres, a guy I'm kind of looking to bet here out the gate, Teddy, versus Madison Bumgarner. Plus 116 for Bumgarner and the D-backs, minus 126 for the Padres in Petco, 8 flat being the total, Teddy.
So Arizona's one of these teams that I keep, when you're doing your research, and they keep going with sleeper. Sleeper on Arizona. I don't know if I buy that.
I know.
I understand, they should. They're a perfectly mediocre team. Okay, they should win 30 games or 32 games or 28 games or somewhere in that range. What's Bumgarner got at this stage? Bumgarner was not elite, a year ago. Does he come in and pitch? I guess he was elite, but he was vulnerable a year ago. I'll just put it that. And do we see more of that from him in it's worth noting Arizona, the roof's going to be closed. This is a team that we like overs early in the season when the roof's open. When the roof's closed in the summer, the ball doesn't carry as well. But Bumgarner's not a guy who right out of the gate I'm excited about backing, and he's a dog here for a reason. I think he'll make more money with the Padres. I think there might be money to be made with the Padres. And certainly talk about Paddock. The Padres got a lot of young talent. Both from the rotation and the bullpen and on the field. And if there's one of those squads that, one of these young up-and-comers that isn't getting the hype, San Diego's got hope. And that hasn't been something I've been able to say about the Padres for how many decades?
Yeah, it's been a little while since the Padres have kind of been in the mainstream media. But and you bring up the fact the D-backs with the roof closed. This one in Petco, but is that something?
I'm an idiot. Sorry.
No, it's fine because it brings up the point. Are they closing the roof for the full season? Did they make that announcement? I didn't see it.
No, it's never open in July or August,
Okay.
And not usually in September.
So it goes without saying.
We make money with Arizona overs. This tends to be April,
Okay.
In early May. But yes, this one being played at Petco. My apologies. Which if the roof was, if there was a roof and it was closed, the ball still wouldn't travel any further.
Teddy, we got one game left. We can call it the degenerate special, the get back special. No, go ahead. Did I make a mistake?
Yeah, the Dodgers and Giants will play on Friday, but there's no line and no starting pitching matchup because they play on Thursday.
Okay, so for the regular rotation that we're seeing,
there's another late night degenerate special if you want one.
If you want one. Okay, so it's not a singled out degenerate special, but it's still kind of got that flavor here. 10-10 Eastern start. Los Angeles Angels with Haney on the hill coming from the left side. Oakland A's with Montez on the hill. I like this guy, Montez. Minus 133 favorite. Plus 123 kickback for the Angels. 8.5 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, I talked a little bit about the Angels earlier, where there's hope for LA. There's their benefit from the shortened season with the pitchers coming back off injury. Some of the veteran guys in our lineup really helped, I think, by the short season. But Oakland has bet on potential all the way. Talk about Montas as a guy who we want our money on, and I think we do. Mm-hmm. And he's priced fairly cheaply, and it's a line. And again, the A's have been doing it the same way for 2 decades. The star power isn't there. but the lineup comes together. I think Oakland has significant bet on potential, and if I'm playing this game, it'll be the A's. And again, the markets aren't doing much with this one. We haven't really seen for a lot of these games. Normally in an opening line report, I'm talking about where the markets are moving, why they're moving in that direction. We're still 72 hours out from opening day. So in terms of the market moves, we're seeing the numbers, we're seeing some shimmerings, but we really haven't seen some of the bigger moves that I expect to see in the 24 hours before the first pitch on both Thursday and Friday. So that's what I got, Drew. That's not bad.
Not at all, man. We're actually up against it time-wise, and the shimmerings in the movement in the marketplace was a great way to end it, bud. But do you want to throw out anything in conclusion before we shut this down?
I want to say thanks for listening. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with Drew and I. And again, MLB coverage will continue on the Sports Memo and on the WagerTalk YouTube channel throughout the course of the next few months.
Absolutely. Well said, Teddy. And check out Teddy's packages on WagerTalk and Sports Memo. He's got the full season packages up, likely some opening day. And make sure to check out the free plays, not only on Sports Memo WagerTalk, also on our Twitter handles there, guys. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Monday. We got the college football show tomorrow that I'm on with Ralph Michaels and Rob Vino. Teddy, is there any show shout outs you want to throw out there?
Oh, gosh, I do. I'm sure there are, but I've already tuned out.
Okay. I know you got the thing with Minty, becoming a better.
Yeah, the betting 101. People really like that. The betting 101 with Minty, and a lot of it's not betting 101. It's betting 102 or betting 201 or whatever. But we will be talking MLB this week as well on Thursday's show right here on the WagerTalk and Sports Memo YouTube channel.
All right, guys. For Teddy Covers, I am Drew Martin. Be safe. Remember to wash your hands, and best of luck with your bets, guys. Thanks for tuning in.